I'm Ann Carver. These are my cohorts, Tina and Pat. Our original group has changed in configuration somewhat. I hope this is the last documented case of me saying, "Oh, I'll go first." I remember, I hope my braces don't glitter in the light too much. I remember our day at the ropes course and some of the tasks of climbing up the poles and swinging in the trees, and at some point having to state what is your goal and what is your expected goal and what is your reach. My expected goal is to stand here without showing shaking hands or knocking knees, and my other goal is to ask for help. Hey Aaron, you still got the rope. We are part of the housing committee. Our goal was to create a project that would positively affect a population in need in the Napa Valley. Our search included researching the immigrant population, the migrant, and also the permanent Hispanic workers in the valley, and to see if there was something that we could do to help their situation. We wanted a definable difference to be made and to present a project that could be completed within a reasonable period of time. We did research on helping the Hispanic population and realized that the problem was so vast that we couldn't get our hands around something that was very concrete and that we could do within a reasonable period of time. So we concentrated our efforts on the homeless population in Napa. I think you will remember that we visited the shelter. It is in downtown Napa. It has approximately 40 beds. The average stay is 30 days. There's limited room for women. There are problematic conditions with the homeless shelter, among them being bathrooms that are in desperate need of repair and replumbing, leakage, wear and tear, it needs a new ceiling, and it needed new floor coverings. So our project is to renovate the Napa Valley shelter, the Sullivan House, and we have come up with a time frame which has been altered slightly. We have been able to secure labor and materials that are being donated by community members who are interested in our project, which is really a gratifying experience for us. We have a man who has headed the painting renovation, who has gotten together 4 painting contractors and arranged to have all the paint donated. He is willing to act as our coordinator of that day and to use some of the homeless people to assist us in our project. Recently, we have also secured wholesale carpeting and installation by Graham Cook of Winston's Pub, who's very generously given us a donation to complete the project in terms of the floor covering. Our timeline, the date that we set with everybody, was June 25th, and it was contingent on a grant that Dan Ward was getting to do major renovation on the shelter. Unfortunately, the dates have been shifted around. We know that we can get the carpet installed immediately, which is of great need in his estimation, and that all of the construction will be done as soon as he has the grant.
I need to show you some slides, and I need to go into the middle of the theater to do that. Okay, we decided to photograph the shelter and also make a comparison with a Napa retirement home. And we decided to make pictures in the Christian Retirement Home on Young Avenue, which is a home for approximately 10 people, older people. This is a fairly expensive place to live. The owner, let me show you, start showing you. this is the entrance from the Christian Retirement Center. And the owner has committed herself to a very high standard of care. She has a 24-hour care personnel in her center, and of course relatives and friends have access to their people at all times. There's a nurse available on staff. As I move on, you can see the difference between this home and the shelter very well. This is the back door of the shelter. When the person wants to sleep overnight, first of all, they have to be a resident. A non-resident can only sleep there for one night. A resident of Napa can stay there up to 60 days. And if there is a need or under special circumstances, they can spend even more time there. The shelter is open at 5 o'clock and at night and stays open until 10, and then it'll be closed. They can take 38 people at a time. There's some women there. There's some women. As I move on, you will see that there are some lodgings for women, very primitive, available for them.
Can you focus it a little bit better?
Pardon me?
Can you focus it?
Okay. Is that better?
No. Yeah.
Okay, this is part of the Christian Retirement Center. And just for a comparison to see how well it is maintained, again, the Christian Retirement Center. Again, this is the sitting room looking out into the yard. Again, one of the rooms. Again. And again. Now this is the shelter. And if you look real closely, you can see and what the carpets are in very, very bad condition. And if a person wants to sleep there, they maintain the same bed for as long as up to 60 days, I guess. And when they leave in the morning, they can put their personal belongings under the bed. When I visited the shelter at night, I was really amazed how much help they get from there's a lot of people in the community that care for the shelter. They bring in food. As I was standing there, there was a young man bringing in food, and I heard from the attendant that he does that every Monday night. It's a church that brings in food for the homeless, and I'm sure there are many others that do that. I was really pleased to see that. Here's another bad situation that, I hope you can see the walls and what bad condition they are. There it is again. They're pretty close together. There's the sitting area. And that area over there is locked, and they have the towels in there. The homeless can take a shower there, and they get clean towels. It's maintained as much as they can. There is this is a two-bed for women, and they just have this little curtain there for privacy. And here are the ceilings. So that's the worst part of the shelter. And in order to do the walls, you have to first get the ceilings done. So we have to wait for that because that's not our project. There it is again. Very bad. Lots of damage. Here's the carpet again. The carpets are really, really gross. Dirty and broken, smelly. There it again. Now these are this portion is the bathroom area, and this is one, just as well as I could do it, into one of the bathrooms into the Christian Retirement Center. can see how well maintained everything was. Right here again. Now this is the shelter. It's in need of lots of repairs. The bathroom. These are the kitchen area. When I came in pictures, I had to come around lunchtime. It's my only time my kids do. So they had some dishes around there. Now this is, they don't have an oven. They just have a microwave or 2 microwaves there. It's a big area of the shelter. Again, the shelter. Shelter. It's the back area of the shelter. Again, the ceiling was really bad. The walls. Now that's a real good picture of the walls. There's a lot of work ahead of us. This is the office area and this is the retirement center. It's a license. Again. And this is the shelter. This is their office area. This is the attendant. This is the backyard from the retirement home. All the oxygen tanks. He has many very old people that need oxygen. It's the background. Of course, the shelter has nothing like that. They don't have the job.
Should I start before you come up? No, you can come up. The real purpose of doing our project hit me the evening when I went down to the shelter and spoke to 3 people. Now the first was a lady I'll call Mary, and she just came back to the shelter to help. She volunteers now because she is so grateful for all the help that she received. She told me that when she was at the shelter several years ago, they let her stay for 8 months, and I think that's a record. Isn't that right, Dan? And she was allowed to stay because they knew that she was really trying. She told me that she'd been sober now for 5 years, and she was just, I mean, you'd think that the shelter was a palace. She was so thrilled about it, and she does go and volunteer her time. She said that the year before she was in the shelter, she and her husband, who was an alcoholic, were living in the van. They were both drinking at the time, but she had to leave him in order to ensure her own sobriety. The second one that I talked to was John. That's what I'll call him. And he was 26, and he'd been in the shelter previously, but had had a setback, so he knew that he was going to be leaving there shortly, and he couldn't say, well, I mean, it was just terrific, the things he said about the shelter. And he wasn't abusing alcohol, although he told me that when he was in Germany, when he was in the service, he spent something like $42,000 on beer in 5 years. And when he realized that, it made him sick, so he stopped drinking. Occasionally, I guess he'll have a beer. That's it. Think of all you could do with that money. Anyway, he scarcely drinks at all. He told me that he'd been laid off from his job and that 40 to 65% of the people at the shelter were skilled workers. So that made me feel good because we're going to put some of those people to work when we get the walls painted. They don't know it yet, but they will be put to work. But a lot of them are just down on their luck, and maybe they lost a job. I mean, a lot of people are losing jobs, and the shelter is the only place for them to go. Some of them have families, some of them don't, and even those who have families, sometimes the families don't want to have anything to do with them. I talked to a third person. He was a man in his 30s. He'd been on and off the wagon for years, and this time he was really trying. Not that he hadn't tried before, but it's not easy. This is where I'll admit, Kevin's heard it probably many times, I'm a recovering alcoholic myself, and I really had empathy for some of the people who are at the shelter because they're struggling. They're not only homeless, but they have a substance abuse problem. They're not allowed to drink or take drugs while they're at the shelter, but they are trying to get on their feet, and it is not easy if you have a problem. I mean, just ask anyone who has recovered or is trying to recover. He was very grateful. He said that, well, actually, the first person said it had saved her life. He also admitted that it was saving his. He said that he would party every evening until it was too late to, he was thrown out of the party places, I guess, and then he'd sleep on the streets. And he was just so happy to have a place to sleep and people that cared. I heard great things about Dan Ward and about all the employees and about a lady named Charlie. She was mentioned many times. And I was really walking on air when I left the shelter because I felt so terrific. I hadn't really realized that there was a place in town and a lot of people who cared. And I'm very happy that this is our project because I feel that maybe we'll make a difference. I know they need a new rug, definitely. I think I could stand no paint on the walls, but the rug and just the fact that somebody cares. I just wanted to tell you that in Marin, the shelter closed there after 3 months. They opened it for the winter. They dumped everybody on the street, 40 people, just the other day, because now it's spring. The Napa shelter is open 365 days a year, and not just 3 months like in Marin. So there are people who care here. Several years ago, I helped a friend try to get a recovery home started in Napa. She wanted to be able to have 12 women who were recovering stay in a 6-bedroom house, 2 to a room. The neighbors, they just were incensed, and some of them were my friends. And I was at the city council, and I was actually booed by some of these people, not actually my friends, but some of the others. They would not allow it in their neighborhood. There was no place for a woman to recover. Now there is a place, the shelter. And perhaps this lady I told you about, Mary, maybe she would have recovered at this other place. But she went to the shelter and she was able to get help. And I really feel good that, as I said, that this is our project. And they don't just put a roof over their heads. They help them try to get a job. They help them with interviews. They help them get to AA meetings, NA meetings, just everything. And I just had my eyes open. Well, I could go on, but I think it's time that Tina came over and said a few words. Yes, we're going to let her talk to you. Again,
One of the values that we considered important in choosing a project was how can we help support as leaders, but how can we support an ongoing operation that needs additional assistance. And our experience was very gratifying working with Dan Ward and knowing that he has a vision. One of the visions is to have a permanent home for the homeless shelter at some point because it is considered a temporary site. And also that he had a vision of what he knew he could do with a limit and that we could go beyond that limit with our help in getting funding and getting people to donate additional support for his project as well. We hope that our work will help you, Dan, secure additional funding, having people use your shelter as a model. We hope that you find a permanent house, and we would like to acknowledge your work with the homeless population in Napa by giving you a certificate of our appreciation for what you've done for the population.
Class 7 of Leadership Napa Valley, Pat Baird, Joe Barwick, Ann Carver, Wayne Fenderson, and Tina Persons presents a certificate of appreciation to Daniel Ward
really embarrassing. I should be giving all of you a certificate. Seriously. It was a pleasure working with the committee. I'm tickled pink that they picked us to work with, as they attested to very well. We need the help, and the thing that makes the shelters work are the Napa community. And I really truly believe that if we were doing this properly, I'm an employee, I work there. It's all of you, it's this committee, and it's literally thousands of people in Napa that make the shelters work. Bringing in food, helping us in every possible way, and helping the people that we're trying to help. So you're the ones that deserve the praise. Thank you very much.